Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Strange Fantasy. I'm Travis.
Ashley here.
We're the creators, writers, and producers of the show. And we just wanted to take a quick second before diving into tonight's tawdry tale to let you know that if you like Strange Fantasy, be sure and show your love by subscribing, downloading, and rating the show on iTunes, Spotify, or any of the many platforms we exist on.
And for exclusive rewards and merchandise, or just to donate to our cause to help us to continue to thrive, be sure to visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/strangefantasy. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram by searching Strange Fantasy Show for updates and haunting original art. All this and more can be found on our website, strangefantasyshow.com. And now,
your feature presentation.
Welcome to another regaling of strange fantasy. Obscure oddities meant to shock the nervous system and stir the very core of your soul. Tonight's tale is of the importance of how one choice may alter the reality of another, by intent or by mishap. In this installment entitled, The Graveyard Gathering.
And another fun fact is that the winged hourglass symbol tells us that time flies. And if you see a gravestone that has the hourglass on its side, well then that represents time stopping for the dead. A broken tree or a flower symbolizes a life cut short. And a hand pointing down can indicate a sudden death. And the other thing...
And the clasped hands illustrate a couple to be reunited in death. You've already told us this, Howard.
Are we almost there or what, Morgan? If I have to hear another one of Howard's stupid and pointless fun facts, I'm gonna find an empty grave and bury him in it.
Geez, Scott, that's a little harsh.
At least give us something new.
Okay, alright. Well, tell me if you've heard about this one. Have you ever noticed how all the gravestones are facing east? An east-west orientation for gravestones is the most common throughout the world. Early American settlers wanted their feet pointing east and their heads toward the west, so they were ready to rise up and face the sun of a new day when they hoped to be reborn.
Hey, Howard?
Yes, Scott?
Shut up.
Leave him alone. He's just filling the silence. And I prefer it that way.
Well, I mean, I felt like those were pretty neat facts to know.
Maybe get some new material every once in a while.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, you probably just farted.
I don't hear anything but the wind howling through the trees.
Told you, your ass is haunted. Downright ghoulish, my dude. Seriously, though. That and grave rats. Probably what you heard. Just relax, Howard. But not too relaxed. We haven't even started with the spooky stories yet.
Here, this looks like as good of a spot as any to camp out for the night.
Alright, gang, so who wants to go first?
I will. Me.
God damn it, Howard, don't you think you've talked enough tonight?
Quit being such a dick to him. He's just excited is all. If he wants to go first, then let him go first. It's not a big deal.
Fine. This better be good.
I'm sure it will be. Go ahead, Howard, kick us off.
Thank you. Okay. Have you ever heard the tale of the hatchet.
God damn it, Howard!
What? Did I already tell this one?
No, but everyone knows that stupid kid's story. Come on, man.
To be fair, everyone knows that story, Howie.
Okay. Fine. Tell me if you've heard this one then. I call it Knowledge is a Power That'll Kill You.
Sounds good so far.
Yeah.
Okay, so, a young bookworm named...
Howard.
Fine. A young bookworm named Howard runs frantically to his favorite library to return a book before it becomes overdue.
Ooh, spooky.
But, it is long past closing time and the night box is jammed shut.
Oh my god.
Oh no!
Shut up. Okay, so, Howard remembers that old Mrs. Crane, the librarian, always keeps a spare key at the back entrance. So he runs over and retrieves it. Once inside the dark and empty library, he quietly sneaks over to the main desk to stamp the book as delivered on time. But the stamp is nowhere to be found. He looks and looks, but nothing, so Howard figures it must be upstairs in Mrs. Crane's office. As he makes his way up the spiral staircase, Howard's heart drops into his gut once he notices that Mrs. Crane's office light is still on. He stands in silence for a moment, listening for any indication that she may be in there. But he hears no movement. Nothing. So he figures she must have just forgotten to cut the light off before leaving for the night. So Howard continues toward the office. When only steps away from the door, he smells the strong and distinct odor
Of Howard's farts?
of cigars that old Mrs. Crane would smoke. It permeated the air around him. The smoke wasn't stale, it was fresh.
Not helping.
And it choked Howard, causing him to nearly cough aloud. But he refrained his urge and covered his nose and mouth with his shirt collar. God, you guys, please, come on. Okay, as I was saying, as he slowly turned the knob and gently pushed the office door open, to his surprise, Howard sees what appears to be Mrs. Crane, sitting at her desk chair with her back turned toward the door. She is still, a little too still to not have been alerted to the sound of Howard opening the door. On her desk, still burning in the ashtray, was a half-smoked cigar, nearly snuffed out by the accumulated long ash of being untouched for several minutes.
Shh! There's that noise again.
So you did hear what I heard earlier?
What noise? Quit getting scared by the wind. At least wait until Howard gets to the good part if you're trying to scare us.
Sorry, Howard. Please continue.
So anyway, where was I? Oh, shit. Oh yeah, okay, so Howard calls out timidly to attract her attention. Mrs. Crane. Mrs. Crane. But he's met with silence, so he cautiously begins to approach her desk, still calling out to her, Mrs. Crane, can you hear me? But nothing. Only dead silence responds. Howard reaches his hand out toward her chair, and as he rotates it around, he sees the horrific sight that
She's dead.
not only is she dead, but she's been murdered. Her throat slit wide open and left there to drown in her own blood. In shock from this ghastly sight, Howard turns to run out of the office, but standing there in the doorway is a tall and menacing figure cloaked in black staring at him. Howard freezes in terror, not knowing what to do, and the figure begins to slowly walk toward him. So Howard reacts quickly and turns to the desk and grabs the heavy ashtray and hurls it at the figure, but the figure had vanished, and the ashtray smashed against the wall. He was once again alone in the room, with only the corpse of Mrs. Crane. Howard frantically searched every darkened corner, but no one else was there. Baffled in awe of everything, he failed to notice that the embers of the smoldering cigar had begun to flame on the carpet and only grew larger with each passing second. Frightened and confused, Howard ran for his life out from the office, only to have lost his footing while descending the staircase. He violently tumbled down each step, scraping, smashing, and bludgeoning his body all the way down until he reached the hard tile floor at the bottom. Unable to move and helplessly lying in a slow-forming pool of his own blood, Howard looked up at the office window and watched as the flames grew higher and more rapidly out of control, engulfing the rooftop, which looked like a sky on fire. The darkened figure approached into view above him and looked down upon his broken body. And that's when a chunk of ceiling gave way from the eroding flames and fell upon his legs, crushing and igniting his lower half. Howard screamed and pleaded for help, but no one other than the darkened figure was there to listen. Isolated and scared, Howard musters all of his energy and grabs onto a shelf of a nearby bookcase and tries to pull himself up and out of danger. But that's when another hunk of burning ceiling falls perfectly on top of that same bookcase, causing it to fall over and splatter poor Howard, the bookworm, all across the floor of his favorite library. What you think? What you thinking?
So what about the darkened figure? Who was it? Who killed the librarian?
Librarian.
It's what I said, asshole. Librarian.
You're saying Barry.
It's Brary. Librarian.
I'm not hearing it. Now quit dicking me around and tell me who done it. Who's the figure in black?
It was Death.
Bingo.
Death?
Yeah. In a lot of shared history, death appears in many forms, but mostly as a darkened figure.
Huh. Right on. Yeah, pretty decent story, Howard.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good. What a way to go. Ended by your own hand. That sucks.
Yeah, tell me about it. Seemed like a good theme to kick things off tonight.
All right. Well, I guess I'll go next. So, I call this story Split in Two.
And two is spelled T-W-O or T-O-O?
So opens up on a high school senior prom under the sea dance.
And you complained about my originality.
It's a popular theme, man.
Okay. It is pretty overplayed, but hopefully not a pivotal part of the story.
Right. Well, oh yeah, so, prom.
Oh, Lord. Ah!
Don't be rude, he's trying.
Please do go on, Scott. My better half has insisted in so many words.
Thank you. Anyways, so prom and there's a guy, this all-star varsity dude named Biff. He wants to ask his best girl out, but she's like acting all reluctant at all because she's had this nerd guy named Morty chasing her around lately. This guy is such a dork. Like, he's her height and, like, says stupid things like, that's heavy. If it's so heavy, then, like, pump some iron or something. I mean, come on, right? Guys, I'm asking you a question.
I think that's a turn of phrase, Scott. Also, this sounds really familiar.
Yeah, like when you asked Doreen Curry out to the prom even though she had a boyfriend.
Hey, how was I supposed to know? She was at all of my games and practices.
Well, to be fair, I was too because we were both cheerleaders.
Jeez, I'm not good at picking up on social cues. So anyway, there was this little shrimp of a dude chasing around Biff's girl, so he finally told her, come on, baby. You know you want to be with the Biff, 'cause the Biff wants to be with you. Romantic, right?
Hardly.
She goes and buys the hottest pink dress, gets her hair all done up, but then she sees this weird-looking figure, all haggard and whatnot, wearing this dark cloak.
It was death.
No, it was her aunt. She was coming in town for a visit. Anyways, so, I guess we'll just call her Doreen, since you guys want to be jerks. So Doreen's aunt found out that she was being pursued by two dudes and warned her that if she didn't end up making a choice between the two, then it would end up in, some sort of, damn it, what's the word? Sadness, I guess?
Tragedy.
Yeah, or worse, like death. So, when I went to go pick her up for the dance, that little dweeb Morty was already there, waiting for her to come outside. As I approached him, as Biff approached him, they talked about the exact same thing. She's got to decide, the dweeb or the jock. And wouldn't you know it, she chose that scrawny little twerp over me. Biff. And as he watched him drive away to go to the prom, Biff swore to himself that he would prove to Doreen that he was the man she should have chosen. So like a champ, Biff shows up, finds the two dancing to some slow song, and he walks right up to him and lays a solid left hook square on Morty's stupid face and snatches Doreen and throws her over his shoulder. But who would have thought that little dweeb could bounce back so fast and pack a punch hard enough to lay Biff out? Doreen screamed, "Stop! Stop! Do you really think fighting would impress me?" So Biff proposed an alternative. That since Morty had a decent set of wheels and Biff was sporting a 1953 Corvette, they should have a drag race to win once and for all Doreen's heart. Morty agreed, even though she disagreed with all of it. But sometimes you gotta let the men make the big decisions, am I right?
No, but continue.
So, Biff ran onto the stage and announced to the entire school, "Come one, come all, and bear witness to the greatest event of all time, Wimpy Morty versus the state champion quarterback Biff in a drag race to the death. Winner takes home the beautiful Doreen Curry." And with everyone's attention, they all piled out of the gymnasium out into the parking lot, and they hopped into their cars and then headed out to Widowmaker's Bluff, where the race would begin. Before we started, Biff and Morty discussed the rules. First person to stop or dive out of the car before the finish line at the edge of the cliffs would be disqualified. Doreen begged the two, "Oh, please don't do this! Come to your senses and stop this foolishness before someone gets hurt!" Morty grew a pair and was the first to speak up, saying,
No. I want you for myself, and with this pinhead around, that'll never happen.
And to Biff's surprise, he discovered a new respect for that little dweeb, but was too fired up to think anything of it. So with one last plea, Doreen gave up and kissed the both of them on the cheek before they hopped into their rides and began revving the engines of their hot rods. The crowd fell silent as Doreen stood in between the two cars, holding her scarf high up in the air. Biff and Morty took one last look at each other, giving a competitive nod, and then the scarf was dropped, and the two put the pedal to the metal and took off. Biff's knuckles ran white with desire as the wheels of his Corvette exploded onto the dirt road. 400 horsepower at maximum performance. 40, 50, 70, 80, 100. This was it. The cliffs near the finish line edging closer and closer with each passing second. Biff glanced over at Morty, and his face was fueled by determination and hatred. And as he turned his sights back onto the speeding road, Biff saw what appeared to be a darkened figure standing there in the middle of the road.
The ant.
No! It was death. So Biff swerved and took a hard turn right to a giant oak tree, while Morty swerved and flipped his car right over the edge of the cliffs. The crowd gasped and screamed in terror and panic. A few of them driving off to go get help. Doreen ran over to the wreckage that held Biff and cried out, "Biff! Biff, are you all right?
Are you alive?
Biff weakly responded, Doreen, help me. I'm trapped, I can't move. Biff outstretched his arms to Doreen, and she cries out,
I've got you, babe. Don't worry. Everything is going to be just fine. I love you.
She grasps onto his forearms and pulls with all her strength. But she only pulls out the top half of him as he spews blood and guts all over Doreen and her pretty pink dress. Biff, choking on his last breath, says, Oh, I love you too. Doreen lets out the most horrid scream ever heard on the face of this earth.
Very compelling storytelling, Scott.
Good job, Scott. Very well executed.
Clever. Seriously, though, what a way to go out. Yikes.
For sure, cut in half, not even knowing it until you get pulled apart like it's nothing.
You know, Scott, I couldn't help but notice that you borrowed a little something from my story, asshole?
Bullshit, like hell I did.
Bet you did.
What was it then?
The part about the darkened figure that caused the crash.
And
the darkened figure was a part of my story.
so what? You don't own the rights to that.
No, but you could have been a little more original. But I suppose that's just the kind of guy you are. A cheater. You cheated off me in high school, and you continue to cheat off of me now.
Oh, shut up, nerd.
Don't be so harsh on him, Howie. I thought his story was good, and I kind of like the idea of a darkened figure as a constant. I've got a story that involves the very same thing.
Whoa. Did you guys just hear that?
It's probably nothing.
Yeah, just grave rats, right, Scott?
Yeah, or you farted again.
Should have seen that coming.
All right. You boys shut up while I tell you the tale of a young gymnast cut down in her prime, all due to making a fatal error. I call this story A Calculated Risk. Let's start from the beginning. Our young protagonist's name is Erin, and she did and would do everything for her mother, who was herself a brilliant cheerleader, also cut down in her prime by becoming pregnant with Erin her senior year of high school. If not for this, she would have gotten to perform at nationals, and Erin's mother never let her forget this fact. Erin excelled with statistics, numbers, and calculations, and fancied herself a novice to cheerleading, though she loved it very much. The most important part of it was giving her a chance to feel normal by spending time with her peers. Unlike with gymnastics, where she felt it to be more of a burden, only doing it because her mom constantly reminding her, "This is all you can do, Morgan. This is your only chance in life. Don't mess this up like you did for me when I was your age," she would say.
Jeez, Morgan. I didn't realize your mom was such a bitch.
Hey, this is Erin's story, not mine, guys.
Well, I feel it was very unfair of her, Erin's mother, to treat her that way.
Yeah, for real. Did she at least enjoy any of it?
Erin did at least like one aspect of gymnastics, perfecting the skill of intricate and calculated moves made to look so simple, yet nearly impossible. And with practice, she quickly proved her capability to handle such complex maneuvers. Erin's mother dedicated her efforts of misery to enlisting her daughter into gymnastics at the tender age of 2, where Erin was considered to have been one of the country's greatest talents. So this brought on additional strife, as Erin's mother had begun relentlessly coaching and pushing Erin a minimum of 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. She had become determined that through Erin's achievements is where she would vicariously dwell. Erin's coach, Mr. Kovanik, saw how hard she was being pushed and tried to discourage her mother from being so harsh and allow her time to rest. But her mother would soon fire him from his duties after her sexual advances were denied.
This lady is a nightmare. Hope Erin gets away from her.
We will see shortly, boys, so that's when she stepped up and began coaching Erin full-time in preparation for the elite finals. Erin's mom even wanted to take her out of school so she could have more time to practice.
Wait, I remember this somehow. She didn't even want you to hang out with us anymore.
Again, this is all a story. It's not me. But come on, be serious.
We were being serious.
Guys,
Okay, really? But what the hell keeps making that sound?
I heard it too.
Should we go?
No, we can handle it.
Probably just a raccoon or something.
Yeah, that's a safe bet. Another safe bet is it's probably just the darkened phantom tiptoeing through the tombstones.
That's what I'm worried about. Besides being a place to bury the deceased, graveyards are gathering spots to connect with the dead.
Come on, Howie. It'll be okay.
Yeah, Howie.
You wish you had someone to give you little nicknames, Scott. I'll take your teasing and wear it like a badge of honor for my Morgan.
Yuck. That's all I have to say about that. Your love is weird.
Morgan, if you would, my love, please continue.
Of course, Howie. So, where was I? Oh, yes. Erin's mother had designed a routine to be perfected and created a finale move so obscure and obtuse that it would later be banned from even being attempted. She called it the woven corkscrew, where the gymnast starts backwards and does 2.5 twists while simultaneously flipping 3 times, then lands facing in the opposite direction. This had never been performed, nor had it ever been considered a good idea when presented to the committee board. But Erin's mother believed it couldn't be achieved by anyone else other than her daughter, which, ironically enough, is the closest Erin ever got to a compliment from her. So, day and night for weeks, Erin practiced and practiced, always failing the final act. She would go on to suffer countless twisted ankles and even a dislocated knee. But this didn't prevent her mother from forcing her back onto the mat to try again. Then on the night before the big competition, Erin had successfully worked out the math involved to pull off the woven corkscrew. By adjusting the thrust strength behind her second twist, this would accelerate the speed of her third flip, allowing her to land perfectly upon her feet. And that's exactly how it went down as she showed her mother that this impossible move was now possible. Tears of pride filled her mother's eyes as she stood staring in awe. Yet to avoid improper encouragement, she said nothing to Erin but just 3 words. Sloppy, try again. This burned Erin with a hatred that nothing she could do would ever be good enough for her mother. So much so that the precious few hours of rest Erin was allotted, she spent staring at her bedroom ceiling, cursing her mother under her breath until the morning came. As her mother walked in to wake her, she was already prepared and fully dressed for the competition. The energy that filled the stadium was palpable. Ecstatic fans and parents lined the rows of seats that circled around the performing center. Other abused and beaten zombie gymnasts stretched their limbs and rehearsed their routines while eagerly awaiting for their names to be called forward for judgment. Erin was confident that her routine performing the woven corkscrew would not only win her the competition, but also her mother's respect. All Erin had to remember was the exact adjustment to the thrust strength behind her second twist, accelerating the speed of her third flip. The announcer calls for Erin to begin her routine. She looked at her mother's face one last time before she walked out. Her face was simple and nearly vacant, expressionless to the point of concern if she was even awake. She saw me staring at her and Erin said, "I love you, Mom." And all she had to say back was, "If you love me, then don't disappoint me." She thought to herself that there's nothing she'll ever be able to do that'll make her mother proud. So what would be the point of even trying anymore? But then she interrupted herself with the notion that success is not for anyone else other than yourself, and that her mother could just go to hell. So with an immense amount of determination, Erin cocked back and fired off like a bullet toward the springboard. The once electric stadium fell in silence as Erin cast it off into the air. As she completed her first flip and prepared her body for the accelerated thrust, her eyes locked onto someone in the crowd. A darkened figure stood there before her and pointed. Erin fell like dead weight to the floor, and the snapping of her neck echoed throughout the still silent arena. Erin's mother was the first to scream. Then followed the horrified gasps and cries of the audience. Her mother and a few paramedics rushed out to examine Erin, but it was quickly made clear that she was dead. Her lifeless open eyes still gazed upon the location where she saw the darkened figure.
It's so unfair.
She may not have stuck the landing, but she sure did stick it to her bitch of a mother.
Dude, not cool.
What? It's true.
It's okay, Scott's right. Her mom was a bitch, and hopefully she learned a lesson, but probably not.
Hey, so, how about another fun fact? Did you know that up until the 18th century, a lot of graves were covered by iron cages called mort safes? Or, they were totally covered with stones. Now, there are 4 reasons given for this tradition. 1, to keep animals from digging up the corpses. Makes sense. 2, to keep people from walking or sitting on the graves. Looking at you, Scott. 3, and this is my favorite, to keep the deceased from becoming a vampire or zombie and clawing their way out of the soil. And the 4th and final reason was to keep the grave from being ravaged by grave robbers. Neat, huh?
Hey, Howard.
Yes, Scott?
Shut up.
You know what, Scott? I've had just about enough of your
Someone out there?
Oh shit, hide.
Oh, anybody out there?
Oh, God, not good, not good, not good. What are we gonna do, Morgan?
Keep still and shut up.
Okay.
Oh, who am I kidding? Ain't nobody out here. I'm just shouting at the dead. Shit, I gotta cut back on the hooch. Better look on that tomorrow. Shit.
All right, he's gone. Wait, where's Scott?
Huh, he was right behind us a moment ago.
God damn it, he better not get himself caught.
That's on him if he does.
Come on, Howie, let's go find him.
Scott!
Scott, you can come out now, he's gone.
Where do you think he went?
Couldn't have gone too far.
I bet he's hiding somewhere waiting to scare us, or at least scare me.
Oh, Howie, my dorky little softy.
Most men wouldn't appreciate such descriptions. However, I'm not most men.
Don't I know it?
Was that a positive or negative statement? Could be taken either way.
Oh, look, there he is over there.
Where? I don't see him.
Boo!
Why?
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
What? Why?
It was just too easy.
Oh, look, there's Scott.
Nice try, but you can't get me that easy.
Guys, over here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, Howie. Hey, why did you run off, dingus? Oh, who's this, Scott?
Guys, this is, sorry, I don't think I got your name.
It's alright. Hi, everyone. I'm Layla.
A real pleasure to meet you.
Layla. That's a nice name.
Thanks.
Well, I'm Scott. And these are my friends. Well, she is. And he's her baggage. I mean, they're a package deal.
What a dick. Hi there. I'm Howard. Nice to meet you, Layla.
Hi, I'm Morgan.
Awesome to meet you both.
Likewise. So, Layla, what brings you out to the graveyard tonight?
Oh, nothing really. I like it out here. It's so peaceful and relaxing. I feel I can just let my mind wander freely for a while.
Agreed. There's just something about a graveyard that helps free the spirit. What? Come on, guys. That was a solid joke.
Sorry about him. He's a bit of a doofus.
Oh, you're one to talk. So, Layla, I see by the charcoal on your hands, you must have been making some gravestone rubbings.
Very observant, indeed I was. I just finished one when Scott found me.
You do know that gravestone rubbings have been illegal for quite some time now, yes?
Howard.
What? Sorry, it's just the facts. I'm not gonna arrest her.
It's okay, he's right. I should probably find another more lawful hobby to occupy my time with, but I just love gravestone rubbings. It perfectly captures what a camera cannot.
Yes, well, unfortunately, with many gravestones being centuries old, this practice often causes the gravestones to chip and flake, making them illegible over time. It's a shame.
Howard, quit chastising her. If she wants to make gravestone rubbings, then that's her prerogative. Sorry about him.
No apologies necessary.
May I see some of your work?
Sure, that'd be great. Let's see. Here, take a look at these 3 I did earlier this evening.
Psst. Hey, Howard.
Why are you whispering, Scott?
Psst, shut up. Listen. Doesn't this chick seem a little weird?
Weird like how?
I don't know, like, she seems really excited by us, right? Like, a little too excited.
You're the one being weird, Scott. She's probably just excited to have some company.
Wow, you guys are some loud whisperers.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
Don't apologize to me.
Sorry, Layla. I didn't mean anything by it.
It's okay, I get it. I know I'm just a little weird, but it's just who I am. I've always been kind of different, and Howard nailed it. I'm just really excited to have your company.
Right on.
So, Layla, tell me if you've heard this one. They say that doing a rubbing of a gravestone can summon forth the spirit of said gravestone.
I know this to be true. A very good fun fact, Howard.
Thank you. You see, guys, she appreciates a good fun fact. Why can't you?
Hey, Howard.
Yes, Scott?
Shut up.
Damn it. Why do I keep falling for that?
So, Layla, we're telling spooky stories if you'd like to join us.
Oh, really? I'd love to. Thank you all for being so nice to me.
Think nothing of it. Well, Morgan just finished her story before we met you. So I believe the turn would be yours, Layla.
Cool. I've got one of mine. Shall we all take a seat? All right. My story starts...
Wait. You have to give it a title.
Oh, let's see. I suppose I could call the story The Graveyard Gathering.
Neat.
So, my story is short and to the point, but a very true story nonetheless. I came to the graveyard tonight not expecting to find much, but I found myself huddled in a circle speaking with 3 ghosts.
To live in ignorance, one can say, is not to live at all. What is reality to one may not be for another. For life is consciousness, a mystery unfolded, only leaving a question, wondering what is truth and what is not. Thus concludes tonight's strange fantasy. Tune in next time for another look into the strange and obscure.
Strange Fantasy presented Graveyard Gathering, written by Travis Scarbro and Ashley Scarbro. Produced by Ashley Scarbro and Travis Scarbro. Original score by Travis Scarbro and Danny Lucas. The players of tonight's tale are as follows. Travis Scarbro as Howard, Martina Ohlhauser as Morgan, Heath Allyn as Scott, Ashley Scarbro as Layla, and Robert C. Williams as the Drunken Gravekeeper. Strange Fantasy Show was created by Travis Scarbro. Strange Fantasy Show is copyright 2020 Strange Fantasy Productions, all rights reserved. Any and all characters appearing in this work are fictitious, and any resemblance to real persons living or dead is purely coincidental.